Welcome back and thank you for staying with us right here on Morning at NTV. On Next Conversation, we are going to be talking about the coronavirus and the effect it has had on importers all over the world who actually rely on China. Now, to talk about this and more, I have Galabuzi Henry. He's the GTC International Logistics operator right there. That's the company that he's running called Air Cargo right there. So thank you for joining us, Mr. Henry Galabuzi.
Okay.
First of all, tell us, how has the coronavirus, the fears from the coronavirus outbreak, how has it affected the business community in Uganda?
Right now, people have started panicking in and around Kampala, and this is coming basically because people don't have what to sell. The stock is getting done, the stock is running out, and some people are using it as an advantage to buy the stock. After buying the stock, they resell at a higher price. So instead of going to other countries to buy or to China to buy, now they are resorting to buying from fellow Ugandans and reselling at higher prices. Yes.
What about the alternative markets? Are they looking at India, Thailand, and Dubai?
Actually, there are other alternative markets, but not for everything. I would say for electronics and for basically electronics, people rent to Dubai. Now, when they rent to Dubai, remember Dubai also doesn't manufacture most of the goods. They also buy from China. So they also have no stock. So you take your plane ticket and go to Dubai. When you reach there, you have nothing to buy. There are other markets like Turkey and Thailand. Those markets are there, but the quality and the price of the items there are a little high. They are higher than the ones people buy from China. China is the cheapest market you can buy stuff from. So right now they do not have like alternative markets. Yeah, but what has been done, like I would say, like GTC International Logistics opened on 12th February. GTC can transport cargo from China to Uganda right now. And by the time the new year ended, I would say the Chinese New Year ended on 25th of January. That is when we closed for the holiday. And when we closed for the holiday on 25th, we were supposed to come back on 5th of February. But we didn't come back on 5th, we came back on 12th. GTC and a few other cargos are open and can transport goods from China to Uganda.
How are you able to do that when the country is on lockdown?
The country is not on lockdown. That is misinformation.
Please go ahead and help us put light to this.
The only place on lockdown is Hubei province. Actually, not the entire Hubei province. It is the Wuhan, where the epicenter of the epidemic is. Wuhan is a city of about 10 million people, and it has a size of about 185 square kilometer. You can compare that to Uganda. I think it is the size of Uganda. That is just Wuhan. China is a very big country. Only a small portion of China is under lockdown, and it is the one that has received most of the cases of coronavirus, call it COVID-19. So that city or province is under lockdown. But other cities where people go to transact, like Guangzhou, has not reported a case of coronavirus in the past 1 week. And when you check the cases that have been there in Guangzhou, they are very, very few. So only Wuhan is the province that has had a lot of cases, and that is where it started, in the fish market.
Are you verifiably telling us right here on the show that business is as usual in China in some areas that were not affected by the coronavirus? There are no lockdowns, no containments, no restrictions at all. You can come in and out as you wish, despite the travel bans.
That is not what I'm saying. I would say, like in Guangzhou right now, which is like my home. In Guangzhou, where I will give an example of Yingfu Plaza, where we operate from. When we opened, the government told us every time the people are coming in, they need to do temperature checks. That is mandatory everywhere in public places. You do temperature checks. When your temperature is fine, you go inside, because that is the first sign of the coronavirus. When they check your temperature, then you must put on a face mask. A face mask must be put at all times. And they restrict the people who come in. I'll give you an example of how we conduct business in China. Then you will know.
That's exactly what I want to know. How are you conducting business in China despite the lockdowns in these areas, Yubin province, in Wuhan, and some other areas? So how are you conducting business despite those restrictions? Because I understand it could be a few provinces locked down, but then there will be restrictions in the other areas to avoid the spread of the contagion. Yes. So that kind of atmosphere, how has it affected your business dealings within China and out of China?
Okay. First of all, I would say no people are moving from Uganda to China. That is one. Two, for you to get stock from China, you don't have to go there physically. We use WeChat, we use WhatsApp and whatever. I can stay in my home and make an order in China. After I make my order, I will talk to my supplier. Most of the suppliers had stock left at the end of last year. Every year China closes at the beginning of the year for about 3 weeks. They go for New Year festivities. So when they closed, they remained with some stock which was not sold. So that stock has been there. Now when we came back, the clients have been talking to the suppliers, and the suppliers have been sending the goods to us by express. Like you can see DHL here. DHL comes to your doorstep, takes your parcel and goes. So we have been receiving the packages for the clients by express. The express companies are taking a lot of precaution to make sure that the virus is not transmitted. Even us ourselves at our places, at work, our workplace, after we repack the cartons, we fumigate them to make sure that they have no virus at all. Then we load them onto a truck. The Guangzhou airport, which everyone uses, is locked right now. It is not locked actually, it is open, but no flights are going. Kenya Airways, Ethiopia Airlines, Emirates, Qatar Airways,
and Marine,
and Turkish Air.
So what is the alternative? Marine?
No. All those airlines are closed. They don't go there.
No, the alternative is it via water, transportation
so what
via
we
water?
do, we put the goods in a truck and we drive them to Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
If you can check your map, you see Hong Kong is very near.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
Actually, it is part of China.
So
and
you get your goods
it has
from
very limited cases.
So you get your goods from Guangzhou, drive the truck to Hong Kong, and what happens next?
We load them onto a plane and they come to Uganda.
Okay, so there are no restrictions in Hong Kong.
The restrictions are there to make sure the virus is not transmitted. But when the vehicle goes to the border, the Hong Kong and mainland China border, at that point, still there are health precautions that are taken to make sure that the virus is not transmitted.
Besides GTC Air Cargo, have you interacted with some other business people within China who are grappling in there? What is the situation with other Ugandan traders who are in China?
Actually, right now, I tried to make my research. I think I have not found a trader who is in China. The reason that there are not traders in China locked there is that this started when we had closed. As I told you, China closes everything at the end of the year.
So there are no Ugandan business traders, only students?
Only students. Students are very many there. And they are in a very bad state.
Yeah, because
being in one place for so long is also very bad. Yeah, I would like to comment on something else. For my traders, you know, a lot of information is passing around that please don't go to get the China visa because there is an epidemic in China. Back then, last year and before, we used to get China visas in a week. You put there an application on Monday and you get your visa on Friday. What most people don't know that changed at the end of last year is when you go to apply for a China visa, they give you what is called an appointment, like other countries. So right now, I called in the embassy to make an appointment for my client, and they told me they are giving me an appointment on 20th June. And if you get an appointment on 20th June, assuming you have to go to China today, what will you do?
Yes.
So I urge the people to continue applying for China visas, because if you have a China visa, if you get a China visa now, you can go to China within 3 months if it is a single entry. They give you 3 months to sort yourself out and go to China. If it is a double entry, they give you 6 months. You can use it within 6 months. So, but if you don't have a China visa, and for example in May they say everything is okay, we can begin going to China, and you don't have a visa, you will go to make an appointment and they give you next year. What will you do?
And you did mention that by May things might be okay, but just in case things do not get better, or this contagion is not contained by May because it has spread from China to other countries, Italy, South Korea, the United States. Now they're grappling 9 deaths. You have other countries like Australia also grappling. You have New Zealand also registering a case, Indonesia, and it's making touchdown in Africa. 6 countries: Morocco, Senegal, Algeria, Egypt, and Nigeria. Now the scary part is Egypt. It has touched down already near home. If it comes from Egypt, it can go very well through Sudan, North Sudan, to Southern Sudan, DRC, Uganda, Rwanda, and the whole East African region is affected. So just in case we do not contain this situation by May, and we're looking at a lengthy contagion spreading all over the world, what would be the ramifications on the global economy and Uganda in particular?
When we look at not being able to buy stock from China, that is a very bad thing. Because as you see, the people who buy stock from China, if you don't buy stock, like you see those other countries, they buy their raw materials. You either buy stock or raw materials. So it will be a very big problem to the economy of the world. But I have faith in the China government. As I told you right now, about 30% of the market is open, and about 40% of the factories are open right now. Even if, and China is like containing the virus, because I would say it peaked on about 15th of last month, because from that time I have seen the number of cases reducing. Many provinces have not reported cases, and the Hubei province cases are going down every other time.
Experts are telling us that the Chinese government might actually be controlling the information that is going out to the outside world, just like they did in early December when they censored Dr. Li Wenliang and his other colleagues who wanted to alert the world that there is a new SARS-like virus that was actually affecting some people. They had quarantined some patients in Wuhan hospital, but the government was adamant to let this information out. The Wuhan Hospital Commission also came out and said, no, everything is okay. We've actually gotten to understand this coronavirus. We are going to contain it. Please go ahead with your lives. So people started moving, and that's how the virus was spreading. And people right now, when it comes to the deaths, experts contend that the number could actually be higher than is actually being put out there for the world, just because the Chinese government is not intent on letting this information come out. What do you make of that? Do you think this problem is much bigger than we are being told?
I think there was, which I always do not want to go into. There was of the West and the East. Now, I'll give you an example. There has been a problem of bird flu in America. Who has been reporting about it?
We have.
You have.
And there's a flu shot.
But do you know
they have a flu vaccine?
That flu has killed more people than the Wuhan.
But there is a flu vaccine. But the problem is we do not have a vaccine for the coronavirus, and that's why I'm saying if it's here to stay, what would be the effects on the global economy and the Ugandan economy in particular? You've told me imports will be affected. What else?
Imports would be affected, and business in general would be affected.
How?
Because if you do not have what to buy, all the stock will get done. And when it gets done and you have nothing to put, we're not manufacturing here. We do not have raw materials. Even the factories that are manufacturing here don't have raw materials. So that means they will have nothing to sell.
So that is the problem. Let's talk about the solutions. In your opinion, as the proprietor of logistics air cargo, what would you do in this case if you found yourself entangled in such quagmire where your main source of importation is cut off?
That is what I've been telling the clients, that what we do, China right now is containing this virus. Even if the virus is not contained, the people are in limited places. The people are limited the way they move. For you to be able to open your factory, I told you 40% of the factories are open. It is not that those are the only factories that want to open. Very many factories want to open, but they have not yet met the safety precautions that are required to open. So in China, for you to open your factory or to open a public place, first of all, you need to show the government that you have ways of testing all the people that are coming in every day. You have a way to keep these people in one place, and they don't mix with other people. Because the only way this disease can transmit is by mixing with people who are sick. So for you, if you have your 40 workers and you're sure they don't have any disease, so make sure they are together and you do not mix them with other people. And so when these factories make the goods, the rate at which they are making the goods is low. That is why right now in Uganda and other countries there is shortage of stock. So what we do, make sure Ugandans, talk to your suppliers, place your orders, and when the orders are done, make sure you receive the goods, stock enough to make sure that you do not run out of the stock. Yes.
Ensure that you do not run out of stock. Now, since this outbreak of the coronavirus, has your business registered any hits?
As in?
Has your business been affected by the coronavirus outbreak?
The business, I have two businesses.
You have GTC Air Cargo.
I have GTC Air Cargo, and I do the business of, I also sell goods and services. Sell goods. The business of GTC Air Cargo was affected because we were supposed to open on 5th of Feb, and we opened on 7th, on 12th. That is a week lost. So we lost a week not doing anything. And when we opened, we are also working under so many restrictions. We are incurring costs of fumigating each and every carton that we are sending out, and this is giving us a lot of hard time.
So the cost of business has gone, the cost of doing business has gone way up.
Yes, it has skyrocketed because using those disinfectants every day, having a doctor on site to always test the people coming in, it is really a lot.
What about your clients? I'm very, very intent on knowing what is happening with your clients. Are they still making the same orders in the same volume?
Now the clients are not making the orders because most of them were used to going to China. When you go to China, you go and buy your stuff, you bring, and we bring for you. But the people who had suppliers, who had supplier contacts, those are the people who are now doing business. Because you cannot go to China, but you can just place your order. So what I urge people is try to go to Alibaba.com. When you go to Alibaba.com, you can get more suppliers. Those people who didn't have suppliers. Get suppliers, talk to them. If they have stock, they can sell to you stock. Some have factories, they are manufacturing, though they are manufacturing at a low rate. Yes. So
finally, as an imports handler, do you think Uganda can manage without imports from China?
Uganda, we can stay as a country, but so many things will go wrong.
Like?
Because for us to remain alive, we need food. We can make our own food.
Indeed.
For us to have a lavish life, we need mobile phones, we need fancy clothes, we need so many other things, which things we cannot get in Uganda. So we shall not get nice phones, we shall not get nice phone accessories and so on. But Uganda can stay because of food, but now the other problem is medicine. The people who import medicine, China is not the main source of medicine. People import medicine from India, so that business is still moving on well.
So we still have alternative markets you can look out for
some items.
It won't be like a big void.
People will not make money. The economy will go down, but we shall not die. Unless if the virus comes to Uganda and spreads all over Uganda.
God forbid that will not happen. Henry Galabo is the proprietor of GTC International Logistics. Thank you for having made the time to speak to us. You've been very kind.
Thank you.
Well, the show is Morning at NTV, happens every Monday to Friday day, but right about now we are heading into another short break. We'll be right back with a lot more information. Domo Vamaso, we have a lot more in store for you.